Hello and welcome. I want to talk about the Drawknife. Now this is one by Creuset here in France. I've actually had it probably, 10 years so far, this actual blade. And I've had various ones, they're still kicking about here, probably covered in rust now somewhere. But this is the one I tend to use most often. And I did make it 2 new oak handles and what have you, which have shrunk a little bit because little copper ferrules, 28mm copper pipe that I used for ferrules are now loose. So I need to do something about that. Probably put some steel ferrules on or something. Brass, if I get hold of them, would be better. But, the thing about this particular tool is it's quite versatile in the sense that because there's no chip breaker like you'd have with a hand plane, for instance, you can use it in both directions. You can use it bevel down or bevel up. Now, most of the time I'm using it bevel down, but if I want to even finer, think of, for instance, a hand plane that would be bevel up, which is bevel up. Such as a low angle hand plane, they generally are bevel up, aren't they? Whereas a smoothing plane or any bench plane generally is bevel down. So, but before you get started, you know what you got to have, don't you? Not just a lubed tool, no, you got to have a sharp tool. Yeah, a tool with a pointy end, all right? Or in this case, an edge. And if you haven't got an edge, well, you're hiding to nothing, right? And if you have got an old one like this, or you've got one that's got a bit pitted and stuff, you need to do a bit of work. Using draw knives that are covered in rust, all picked and nasty, sort of more like that there, I suppose, near the handles here. You're hiding to nothing. Because just like a hand plane, you need a good back, all right? Not that back, but, the back of the blade. You've got to have a nice uniform. I'm not say flat, because these things aren't flat anyway. You do get flat versions, mind. But you see, if the back edge isn't good, the front edge isn't going to be good. So the bevel up ain't going to be good if the bevel down isn't any good. If the back of the blade, the front... Anyway, both sides of your draw knife have to be in good check. Now, if you have got one that's got a little bit shitty, you could use angle grinder with a sand and disc in, 240 grit, and you will get through some discs. But you've got to be very careful that if you go anywhere near the edge, that the disc is always rotating off the edge. If you try, for instance, go from that direction and the disc is rotating that way, you'll just peel and cut your disc up. That's all you'll do, And when I say disc, I'm talking about sanding disc. Not flap wheels or grinding wheels or anything like that. I'm talking about a sanding disc. Very fine. And once you start doing this area of it, it'll be even finer. They'll go down to 300 or 400 grit. So you'll basically polish it. The other way you can do it is with some 1200 wet and dry like this. It's basically the stuff they use on car bodies. 1200 would be the one you'd use if you want to get rid of orange peel on your paint, If you talk about the old cellulose paints and stuff. So I'll just use some Windex or water, like so. I'm doing both phases at the same time. And literally just work the 2 faces with the wet and dry paper. And, even now, crikey, even this one, you see it's gone orangey already, see it? It's gone orangey. Well, that is the rust that I'm getting off. Old rust. It's not really an issue as long as it's not on the edge. But if you want to put some time into it, or be conscious of it whenever you sharpen, every time you do it, do a little bit of that as well, a bit of flattening off, and then you'll get rid of it. They'll all disappear in time. So you end up with a nice shiny tool. Which with a draw knife is actually very, very useful because obviously the shinier it is, it basically reflects the fact that it's smooth. And if it's smooth, it will glide over the wood. And when you're dealing with a draw knife, quite often you'll be using it on wet wood. And wet wood is sticky. Yeah, because it's wet. It has resins in as well, which are sticky. So you can work it like that, and then you don't want to leave the tool wet because you'll just make it rusty again. So you have to wipe it off, make sure it's dry before you put it away. Maybe give it a coat of some water repellent or something to protect it. If you're going to be putting it away for any length of time, clear lacquer, just a light coat of clear lacquer on each face, and that'll protect it for the winter. And next time you sharpen it up, it'll come off again anyway. So it doesn't matter. So when I say clear lacquer, I'm talking stuff in aerosol cans, not black, but it's a light coat. But once you have a nice clean tool, then you've got to send the rust where you don't want it, near the edge. You've got to think about sharpening it. Now, what you don't want to do is consider using one of them round things. You see these people, don't you, with their round things, like like a coffin sharpener or one of those torpedo sharpeners, and they're doing that, aren't they? They're too coarse. You're never going to get a good edge. You know, they're flipping out about 200 grit. You know, way too coarse. Even the fine ones are still about 500 grit. Still too coarse. You know, you want to go right down to at least 1,000 grit, if not finer, and work your way down. Now, what I tend to use is diamond. Yeah, not the wife's engagement ring. No, I'm talking about one of these diamond sharpening plates. This one though is actually too wide, because if I demonstrate, if I was going to be sharpening with this, because it's got a curve in the blade, as you can see, right? It's only going to be engaging on that edge and not in the middle. So it's not really ideal for that job. It could be used on the back for the flattening on the back here if you want, because that's reasonably flat, and that distance is probably making contact right across its width anyway. So that's not an issue. What you really want to be using is a diamond sharpener that's not round, still a flat one, but much narrower, like one of these little trend, or there's a DMT, this one is a little DMT sharpener like that. You can get some cheapo versions as well. You see, it's no good using a wide tool for a curved. Yeah, it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. So basically, I'll do it by hand. I don't use any guides or anything like that, nothing silly. And I'll just take it from that, roll it round until I'm onto my edge, and literally do that. But be very careful. You don't want to run your hand, your knuckle, against the edge of that blade, okay? Because it will hurt, and there'll be blood everywhere, and your finger will be on the floor. Yeah, if you make it sharp, that is. So I literally just do that, 3 strokes, regular. Usually I have all this stuff nearby while I'm using the tool, okay? And then I then finish off on the back, because you're going to create a burn, like you would do, like, you know, a wire edge, like you would do with a hand plane. When you sharpen a hand plane iron, you're going to do exactly the same thing, all right? But like I said a moment ago regarding what way up you should use it, really a lot of it's going to be down to how it feels right to you. If you feel it's digging in too much, have a go the other way around and see what it's like. And see, the thing is, these sort of tools have been used, well, flipping centuries, haven't they? You know, by wood bodgers and what have you, people making, you know, chair makers and stuff. Now, traditionally, it'd be like a team of people, really, effectively. It's almost like a production line regarding wood bodging and making chairs. You'll have the guy who makes the seat, and you'll have the guys who make a wood turn or Drawknife the legs. Yeah. But see, when you're using this tool, and you've got your vice horse or horse vice, and you're clamping your piece of wood down there like so it's in place like so. Well, you might feel you're going to cut yourself. You won't cut yourself doing that. You would if you put your fingers in front of it, but you wouldn't do that because I'm on the handles, wouldn't you? You know, that's why you should have both hands on your tool. All right, so if I just do that, there's no engagement. I have to bring the handles down to have engagement with the actual edge of the blade. But see, there's another trick. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I was watching a video by Rex Kruger, and although I love the guy, I watch him do most of his videos. I think it's quite funny, actually. He's quite a good geezer. But he wasn't really showing technique. He was showing bevel down and stuff like that. But he didn't actually show how to sharpen it. Well, not in the video that I saw anyway. But also, he didn't show the technique that can make life a lot easier for you. Now, if you're just pulling the tool towards you, all right, you might have a situation that's quite sharp, so it's not too much of a problem. But let's say, for instance, it's jabbing in like that, and you're doing that kind of thing, all right? And it's hard to pull through your piece of wood, all right? Well, what you do is, you don't start there. Don't start in the middle. You start from one edge. You use the whole blade. So it's good. You make sure you sharpen the whole blade. Use the whole blade. So effectively, what you do is you start on one side. If you're right-handed, I'd start on the right-hand side of the blade, because that's my strongest arm. And I'd literally pull that towards me at an angle, like so. And by doing that, I'm actually finishing off on the other end of the Drawknife. Now, it's a slicing action. Now, you know when you try and chop a tomato, you bash the top of it with your knife, and nothing happens, does it? It just bounces off, or just crushes the tomato. But if you slice it through the tomato, that's what's called slicing, well, then the tomato, you'll be able to cut the tomato very easily. Okay? Unless you've got one of them samurai swords. So this is what I do. I tend to draw from one side to the next. So I'm using a slicing action with the actual draw knife. And especially if it starts digging in like so, I can then bring it around and literally slice it off. This is oak, this is. Bit of oak that just grabs from outside. It's dry, it's not wet. I say dry as in, it's wet as it's been rained on, but it's not wet as in, it's seasoned. You know, there's a bit of sapwood in there as well, I think. So, if you see what I'm doing, I'm taking it from most of the power is coming from my right arm. If you're left-handed, you can do the same with the left hand. It feels strange to me, you know, just like that. It's not difficult. So, predominantly the tool must be sharp. You've got to choose whether or not you're going to do it bevel up or bevel down. So let's say, for instance, we're using the bevel down. I'll demonstrate, you know. So I find we've got the bevel up, sorry, but when I got the bevel up, we just had the bevel down, didn't we, a minute ago? But if we have the bevel up, what I find you actually create a finer shaving. It's actually easier to get a finer shaving. So I like to do all the rough work, bevel down, all the fine work, bevel up. So as you bring it through here, effectively it's like a low angle plane. And you can take whisper shavings off with the bevel up. So there's no law, you know. It's whatever works for you. As you see, it's taking much finer shavings. I'm using the same process, controlled, you know, locking my arms and what have you, so I'm actually having control, you know. If I just pull, what also you go like that and you bounce off your fat belly, if you've got one like mine anyway. So you just literally just pull it through the wood, but pulling with the right hand from the left, and same again, slicing actions. Yeah, and you just got to have control, and you just got to feel your way with it, and not stress over it or go at it like a bull in a china shop. You just gently does it, and if you've got a nice sharp tool, you'll find that you'll end up having a lovely shavings like that. Okay? Anyway, don't be frightened of it, because it can be an extremely sharp thing if you sharpen it properly, but equally it's actually really safe, because at the end of the day, you haven't got your hands near the blade, have you? Generally, I just did, I know, but you've got them on your handles. And also, because when you cut, your elbows go past the back of your body, what happens is you lose your power. The power's lost at that point, so you just go bounce off your belly. Yeah, I know I'm a fat bastard, I know. And I don't care. And no, I don't. I just like to play with my wood, this wood, and make shavings. That's what I like to do. And I'm sure you will too. Just give it a go, you know. Yeah. You see how my saw? I ain't got my foot on that at the moment. It's jammed tight. There you go. Yep, there you go. Give it a go. It's fun. It's really fun, and you do all sorts of work with it. You could make yourself some pikes and that, so you can put some politicians' heads on them. That's a really cool idea, actually. Might try that. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. How about that? Good therapy as well. Just chew a bit of wood up for the hell of it. Yeah, that's what you do. Oh. How do you make the video longer than it needs to be? Anyway, I'm going to say toodaloo, you know. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and the little bell icon, so you get one buzz feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. Yeah, might tickle your bits. Toodaloo.